Hey, this is Jay, and this is a quick tutorial for creating an AI assistant for generating social media content using n8n and Telegram. In my last few tutorials, I've kind of been building the different pieces of this AI assistant, so it's time to finally put all the pieces together. So I'm going to actually jump into a brand new workflow, but this is kind of the beginning of where we're going to go. So let's go ahead and create a new workflow. So our first step is Telegram. So let's set up a Telegram trigger. So in Telegram, we're going to say on message. And just for demonstration's sake, I'll go ahead and create a new Telegram bot. And if you would hop over to Telegram, all you would do is chat with BotFather to be able to set it up. So it makes it really easy. So let's go ahead and do that. So you would normally search for BotFather. And in this case, I've already chatted with it, but I'll go ahead and clear chat real quick and say start. When you first start chatting with BotFather, it will list out all of the different commands that are available. But in this case, we just want the one that was at the top. So we're just going to do /new bot. When we do that, it's going to ask for the name. And this is the display name. So this can be whatever you want. In this case, so it'll be our social media manager. And that's good to go. And then for username, username actually is public. So it has to be unique. So it can't be something that somebody else has taken. It also has to end in bot. So I'm going to do something kind of obnoxious. So we're going to do SMM. And then I'm going to put the date just to make sure that it's pretty unique. 2025-03-23. And then add bot at the end. Cool. All right. So now we have a new bot. Ideally, you would keep this code secret. But now that you have that code, that's all you need. You just needed that access token to be able to create your Telegram bot. And now we have a way to chat with Telegram. So that will be the beginning of our AI assistant. So now we can test it real quick. So let me go back. So in Telegram, it gives you a link to the bot now. So if you go ahead and click on that, there are no messages. So let's go ahead and do a test message. So we're going to send that to the bot. Bot doesn't do anything yet, so it's just going to get accepted. But back in n8n, we can go ahead and test real quick to make sure that it connected. And we find our test message. So good to go there. All right. So now we have a way to actually chat with our AI assistant. So let's also build our actual AI assistant. So we're going to use the AI agent node, but we're not really going to use all of it. It does give some flexibility to expand into some more tools and that kind of thing later. But for now, we're just going to stick with the tools agent. But we are not going to use the connected chat trigger node, which is the default in n8n because it's not really super helpful. But we are actually going to provide our own prompt. So now I have a prompt that I've pre-prepared, but we can kind of go through that. So what I was going to say is you are an expert social media manager. Generate X number of engaging post ideas about topic suitable for, in this case, we're going to stick with LinkedIn. Unfortunately, it is kind of painful to have to set up other social media platforms like Instagram or Facebook or X, because you have to actually go and create you have to create an actual custom app and then get the credentials from your custom app to be able to connect in and into those. So that's a little more work. We'll get to that eventually. But for now, we're just going to stick with LinkedIn. We're going to not use hashtags because AI loves to use hashtags. So then I'm going to say for number. So in this case, we have number at the beginning of that prompt. Actually, let me expand this a little bit. There we go. So for that number value, we're going to say, and from the topic, refer to the user's message provided here. So in this case, we have our Telegram trigger with the message. So we would drag the text message into that prompt. Don't think it showed up where I wanted. Yeah, so I'm just going to cut it out and paste it back where I wanted it. There we go. I'm going to say, do not answer in Markdown. Sometimes it will try to come back with Markdown because that's normally how it displays answers on ChatGPT. Also, we're going to say, always output your answer in a JSON object like this format. And then we're going to give it an example of, I want it to have an array of posts 1, post 2, etc. But we're going to reinforce this a little bit more with the specific output parser. So there we go. So that's basically the whole prompt. We just want to say, again, telling it that it's a social media manager expert, and then we want it to generate topics, a certain number of topics based on what we say. So that's basically all there is to it at this point. Then we're just kind of coaching it into displaying the answer the way that we want it, just so it's easier for us to then manage it once it responds. So all that's pretty much good to go. We do need an output parser, so I'm going to go ahead and click on that as well. Let's get that done real quick. So what we're going to do is create a nice little JSON. I'm going to say post 1. Then we're going to say content here, just to kind of designate whatever content it's creating. That should go there. And we actually want 5. So we're just going to stick with 5 and kind of hopefully give it an idea of how to shape that. So go ahead and give it that format of the explicit 5 posts. And there we go. That should make it nice and clear that that's the output that we want. Let's go ahead and add, I'm just going to use GPT 4.0 rather than 4.0 mini. 4.0. Because it's not going to match that way. There we go. Just plain 4.0. Give it a little more effort. And that's pretty much it for that. The only other reason I picked an AI agent is that eventually I may actually have it re-reference the idea sheet that we're going to create. So maybe we can add that later. But for now, these are really the only things that we need. And then to be able to test it, let's actually give a little more useful message. So let's say, let's create 5 posts about n8n. Cool. So let's test this one more time. Okay, cool. And I got the most recent message. So now we can go test this AI agent with something a little more in line with what we actually want to do. So let's go ahead and test. And that looks beautiful. Output. All right. So you have post 1, post 2, post 3, post 4, and post 5. So just some ideas on what to be able to post on post about n8n on LinkedIn. Awesome. So now that we have some content, it looks like it's formatted properly. So assuming that it was, we're going to do a data transformation of split output. Awesome. So since we told the AI agent, like, here's the output that we're expecting, it gave us a nice object or a nice item of output and then 4 posts within that. So we can just drag output into split output. And if we test this, we now have 5 items instead of the 1. So perfect. So now we have our 5 posts that we want to add to a spreadsheet. And so the last thing we're going to do, not the total last thing yet, what we want to do is create a document. So let's create a Google Sheet bank for this. So I'm going to say social media content ideas. And let's say we need content. So that'll be the thing that we're actually posting. And then let's do let's say platform. We're going to be optimistic and plan to post on different platforms. Then I want, let's say, let's do created date. So we know when it was created and status. All right. And that's pretty much it for this, I think. Pretty easy content bank for now. Plenty of room to expand, but that at least will get us started. And now we have a sheet to reference. So let's go ahead and plug these ideas in there. So after split out, we're going to connect to Google Sheets. I guess we just search for Sheets. All right. And all we're going to do is append a row. So let's look for ideally the most recent one that you just updated was social media content ideas. And we're doing sheet 1. And it should, yes, map out our content or map out our columns directly. So now what we can do is say content should go. So from split out, it should automatically iterate through each output. So we're good on that. And then we want platform. In this case, we're just going to hard code it. Ideally, you would handle that more dynamically, but right now we're just doing LinkedIn, so it can just be plugged in. For here, for create a date, let's just do a little, we're gonna cheat and do some JavaScript. So we're gonna switch to expression and do date time. Yep. Date time dot now. Awesome. And then that gives us the current date for when this was added. And then for status, let's just do ready for review, saying that we've created it and it's ready to be reviewed. I think once it's ready and we approved it or tweaked it or whatever and say it's ready to get posted, then maybe change it to something like scheduled. But for now, we'll just stick with ready for review. So anything that's been generated by the assistant will come in as ready for review. So now let's go ahead and test this out. All right. And since split out handled the output correctly, it correctly recognized there were 5 items. So we should have 5 rows that were created thanks to the split out. So we come back in here. Looks like we've got some content ready to go. I just don't need the whole. Let's close that up a little bit so we can kind of see the whole thing. But status is good, created date is good, and LinkedIn platform is just hard coded, so that is as expected. So just going to format that to distinguish it a little bit. Awesome. So now that we have content in our Google Sheet, we just need to send a message back from the assistant to say that it was completed. We don't need 5 items, which I noticed. So in Telegram, actually, we're not going to go to Telegram yet because it's going to do 5 messages. So what we're actually going to do is, since we split out into 5, we're going to actually collapse back down and do data transformation. And we're just going to limit. So we just want 1. We don't need 5. So just add a limit of 1. It'll just grab the first one. And then we can say, okay, in Telegram, now we can send a text message. It just says chat ID. So you might not be able to see this because it's behind my camera. But chat ID is down here at the bottom underneath the Telegram section. We're going to find chat ID. And then the text will just be successfully created 5 more ideas. And then back in Telegram, you can see that I have successfully created 5 more ideas. As you saw before, I accidentally created 5 times when I was using 5 items before. So that's what the limit is for. But that is pretty much it. I guess we could send back the Google Sheet maybe if you wanted to say, hey, here's a link to the stuff I created. So that could be useful here. But otherwise, that is a quick tutorial for creating an AI assistant for generating social media content. This could be something really useful where if you're out doing something and you think about, a new idea or whatever, you could just fire off a message in Telegram to your assistant here and say, hey, I need 5 more ideas about whatever topic, something I just saw. And it'll go ahead and create those ideas right there in your Google Sheet. Then you can later, go and review to make sure that those ideas work and then just flip their status over to scheduled. And then I have another workflow to show you how to then continue scheduling out those future posts so that you just have a backlog that's automatically posting. And you don't have to continually manage the content that you're creating on social media. So that's pretty much it for this tutorial. Let me know if you have any questions or comments about this, or if there's any other workflows you'd like to see. I will continue to create more tutorials like this. So more content coming soon. But in the meantime, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.